So, portable systems aren't normally associated with the horror genre of games, but we're going to be taking a quick look at a fairly unique outing for the Nintendo DS called the Nanashi no Game, or the Nameless Game as it is translated into English. This was actually never released in America, but we are playing a fan translation. So let's go ahead and start a new game. And hopefully you are playing with 3D sound, as this game does use audio quite a bit for its horror. Also, we can change the brightness settings if we really felt like it, though for the most part the game does do better with a little bit darker settings, so we can see how bright it can get, and if it need be the case, I can always turn these back up, but I think this is good. So right off the bat, we are given an option to pick either being a man or a woman. This doesn't affect too much in the game, but I will try to point out whenever it might have some impact on the story. For right now, we're going to be a man. And God, what's a good horror name? Honestly, initially I was going to go with Dongs, but I decided to keep this a little bit more classy than that. And sadly, I still thought of a D name, though I honestly have no recollection as to why I picked this name. But I decided to go with Davy, the true horror moniker. So, right off the bat, we are given an introduction to a portion of the story, which is that in this fictional Japanese world, there is a brand new system on the market called the TS, or Twin Screen, which, as you can probably guess, is analogous to the DS, which I think means dual screen. It is just the most popular system in the world, but it does have a little bit of a dark side. Now, what is the dark side that could come with this simple portable system? Well, there's something of an urban legend going around about a mysterious game that, a week after you play it, you'll turn up dead. Probably seems somewhat familiar to a few other Japanese horror titles, such as Ringu or One Missed Call, but that's just how J-horror works, honestly. But with that little bit of a backstory out of the way, we can start the full story proper at Nanto University in an informatics class, which is something of a mixture of sociology and technology. We see that the class today is discussing quite possibly the TS and its meteoric rise. Also, the impact that the easy dissemination of wireless distribution of games has, but I think we're getting a little bit distracted. The tone is to indicate that we have just got a download on our TS. And we are greeted with what appears to be the interface for a DS, but this is actually something in the game itself. And it looks like we have got a brand new game. It looks like it's called 7 Days Left. Let's go ahead and boot it up. Wow, okay. Not too much we can garner from this. I guess we're just going to go ahead and start a new game again. And find ourselves inside of a very classic-looking RPG. Something akin to maybe Final Fantasy I or Dragon Warrior, but our NPC finds themselves in the town of Verona. Now, there are quite a few NPCs that we can talk to. They may or may not give us helpful information. I probably won't be talking to every one of them, but just from the the setup of the town, it seems like the water focus is very heavy in this area. And if we talk to a few more people, we'll find that the water is not only plentiful, but very special. It seems that people come from all over just to try this water out. It seems that maybe that is our inclination for coming here, but I mean, what could make this water so special? Apparently, it is special because it can cure all illness. It sounds great. Is our character sick? Kind of hard to say at this point. I mean, we just started up the game and immediately we are shoved into this world, getting harassed by patrolling NPCs. It is a bit odd, though. It's not a problem with the emulator or anything. The little graphical glitches that you'll see popping up here and there in this RPG section are part of the game itself. Just seems that we might have got a corrupted download from our friend Odaka. But the people seem to be going on about this ritual regarding the water spirit or the water god. Sure, that might be our next destination of choice, but well, maybe we can buy something. Nope. It seems that all of these shops currently, if we talk to them, they wouldn't be giving us any kind of things to buy. Not that we have any money, but you know, with most RPGs, you can usually investigate a bush or a pot or something like that, and you'll find an item. And if we investigate this far off well, off in the corner of the town, we do get an item, but no idea what that's currently going to be used for. But with all the shops cut off to us, and most of the NPCs not really giving us any helpful information, to progress, we need to talk to both of these elderly gentlemen by the gates. They'll tell us that the ritual isn't going to be till later on tonight. So I guess we're going to have to wait a little bit before that. It seems we might have been a little bit too engrossed in our game, as our attention is gotten by a fellow student, Riko. Seems that she is somewhat familiar with the game as well, as Odaka sent it to her 6 days ago. Also, there is a good chance that this game is cursed and will cause us to die. Though, why should we put any merit into that? It's just simple urban legend. I mean, we haven't even heard of it. But she does have a reason for talking to us at this point, not just to get our attention during the class, but it seems that Odaka has gone missing. And he has been absent, and, well, needless to say, Odaka and her are dating, so she does have some concern outside of an academic measure. So, considering that we're all a nice little circle of friends, she wants us to go ahead and check on Odaka. Also, this little bit of conversation here is one of the parts that can change whether or not you pick being a man or a woman. She'll just say, "Oh, we're best girlfriends," or something like that. But after we get finished with this, we're given a location of Odaka's flat, and we are given the keys to get inside. And we are introduced to yet another part of the gameplay mechanics, and that is, well, keep in mind that the DS is normally played from a vertical position. There's a top and a bottom screen, but in the case of this portion of the gameplay, they actually want you to turn the DS on its side, hold it something like a book. You can then use the touchscreen to move forward, left, right, look around, things like that. Not overly familiar with too many DS games that do that, but this one really kind of pushes the boundaries in many different ways. Overall, this starting courtyard area is nothing more than a very simple tutorial to get you used to the movement in the game. In addition, you can use a combination of the D-pad and the touchscreen to move a little bit quicker. It's not a massive speed boost, but it's one that we will probably be using more often than not, just because the base speed is not that quick. It seems to be very commonplace in most survival horror games. But I think once we got all the movement aspects down, we are also told that we can back up, though we can't do a running backwards motion, which is understandable. I don't even know feasibly how that would work. But once we got all that down, I think we are safe to leave this courtyard area and head over towards Odaka's flat. But that vibrating sound is to indicate that we have a new message on our TS. And it's easy enough to bring up the TS's UI. And there we go. We now can use a few more of the functions for the TS, such as the email. We will be getting messages throughout the course of the game from different people. In this case, it seems that we've gotten some tutorial information from the university admin. Not sure why they are teaching us how to use a video game system, but I'm sure they're just a very progressive university. Most of this is what we already know, just about movement and saving and things like that, but we can actually save at any point during the game just by using the suspend function. Also, we can adjust the brightness, load our game, do things like that. Also, we can boot up the game that we got from Odaka, though not really a bustling center of excitement that it was previously. Yeah, with all that out of the way, I think we can now safely leave the courtyard and head over to Odaka's apartment. Now, there are some interesting bits of real Japanese places and locations in the game, such as the Famille Tenjin is really, it's a real apartment building in the Fukuoka prefecture. I'm probably mispronouncing that. It's supposed to be a very upper-class, ritzy area, which is some portion of Odaka's backstory that's never really going to come up. Also, the other apartments on this floor are named for different people in the horror genre, such as Shinji Mikami, who you may know from Resident Evil, Kiichiro Toyama, who is one of the creators of Silent Hill and Siren, and that final one there, Hideyuki Kikuchi, who was known for being an author of such things as Vampire Hunter D and Demon City Shinjuku. But our main interest here is Odaka. Doesn't seem like he's answering his doorbell. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to barge in with the use of our keys. Though that also seems to be blocked to us. There we go. Odaka was nice enough to unlock the door for us. Maybe he's just ill with something. So inside of Odaka's apartment, it's probably a very familiar horror setting, but one that we probably were not expecting. Also, that ripping sound you were hearing was duct tape surrounding the door, also covering up the peephole. Seems that Odaka was really wanting to keep prying eyes from seeing inside. Still, we should probably look around and see if we can't find him. Maybe Odaka has a guest over. So Odaka has a reasonably sized, very well laid out apartment, though it is in a very horrible state of disarray. Not exactly sure, though, why Odaka is really trying his hardest to not allow us to see him. Though it does sound like some water's running. Maybe he decided to clean up himself a little bit before meeting with us? I assume that we're good enough friends to where he doesn't really need to put on, clean clothes just to meet us. Still, though, as we explore more and more of his apartment, things seem more and more off. Shattered mirrors, boarded up windows, clumps of hair, I assume, in the sink. Granted, it's a bit hard to tell with the DS's graphical capabilities, but that does seem to be what's going on. I guess someone must have left the water running. Bathtub seems to be overflowing with what I can assume to be normal water and not some congealed jelly, but still no Odaka. Not entirely sure how he would have gotten past us. I think there was one other door in here. Maybe we'll catch him by surprise. Unless he is a master of hiding. I doubt he's pulling a James Sunderland. No, he's not. He's not hiding in the toilet. I guess we'll just keep on looking around the apartment. There couldn't be too many other places he could be. This is one of our first real one of our first real instances where the game's reasonably good audio work comes to play. Now, normally, we would have to look around quite a bit to really get our bearings, maybe figure out where to go, but the game uses these audio cues specifically directionally to really lead us where to go. Basically, the stronger the music is, the correct location we need to head to, but I did want to look around a little bit more, in case we might miss something, such as in this bedroom here. Obviously that wasn't Odaka, but we do find a note underneath the covers. That does take a little bit of finagling to really get where it wants you to pick up the note. But it is a note from Odaka, maybe a diary entry listing just his progression. Seems that he has been playing the game for up to 5 days, but cannot get out of the first town. Seems that we also were in a very similar situation. In addition to that, there's not too much else in here, but I don't know why, I really love this painting. I assume that's some kind of demon chicken, but I don't really think I would have that hanging up in my bedroom. Also, just going with a pretty standard trope of a electronic device triggering for no apparent reason. But yeah, you can tell when we are facing this door, as we get closer to it, the music does get stronger, so that is where we want to head, but there are one or two more things in this kitchen area, such as this note on the fridge here for what appears to be a very large order of holy water. Now, as to why Odaka decided to order just such a huge supply of holy water is a bit left up to question, but the delivery date is for today. Also, we see that there doesn't seem to be any holy water around. Maybe that was what was in the bathtub. Though for some reason our character seems to focus more on the fact that Odaka is a rich guy that can just buy lunches at convenience stores whenever he wants to. Still very odd they decide to focus on that, but it's mostly dropped throughout the rest of the game. There's a little bit of a rustling I'm hearing, though. Those garbage bags are moving, but yeah, let's go find Odaka. I doubt he's in the garbage bags. As we do get closer and closer to the seeming origin of the noise, there are some clothes strewn about. I don't assume that Odaka exploded out of his clothes, but who's to say at this point in the game? Yeah, not too much in this room, just that little jump scare there. The game does sometimes go to very cheap scares, but it doesn't do it too often. Find ourselves in the media center of the apartment, I assume. Maybe something... It's just not anything on TV these days. But we do find another note from Odaka, one day closer to that mysterious 7th day, the day of death. But it does look like Odaka has made some progress in the game, finally. He has managed to find an item. He's not sure, though, if that's part of the winning criteria for the game, but it's at least better than being stuck in the starting town forever. Still, I get the strong feeling that, considering the condition of the apartment, I don't think Odaka won the game. But with all the rooms explored, I think it's finally time to find out what's making that game music. And what I can only assume is possibly a storage area? Oh no. Seems that our game has gotten an update. So night has fallen on the town of Verona. All the NPCs are no longer in town, or at least most of them are not. But considering all the information that we got from people beforehand, that must mean that we can now head to the water festival. That's where we find all the people of the town. Now, most of them don't really have anything to say to you, though it is a good idea to try to check with all of them, because some of them do have interesting bits to say, such as the fact that the sacrificial effigy had a little bit of extra care given this year. Seems almost lifelike. And they even gave it a name. Weird thing is that we aren't able to visually see the effigy in the lake here, but there is one other small problem, and that's we can't join in the festivities until we get a torch. But we are in luck. There is a good chance that the item shop in town may just have a torch for us. And when you know it, the one NPC that's left in town is at the item shop. But, yeah, they are all out of torches. I mean, even the shop owner here can't seem to find his own. So it looks like we're going to have to look around a little bit more in hopes to find a torch to join in the water ceremony. The good news is that there's no good news. Just that there's this new NPC waiting for us by the well. And wouldn't you know it, they give us a torch. The thing is that it not only gives us a torch in the game, it gives us a torch in real life. Now, technically this room is supposed to be a little bit darker, and we're not supposed to be able to see things quite clearly, but we do have a flashlight now, so we can see a little bit more of the room. We also find here one final document from Odaka. seems he can't stop thinking about this game. He eats, sleeps, does nothing but think about this game. And in probably some last dire hope, he's leaving behind these messages in hopes that maybe to give some warning to people not to play the game. The question is, if he really wanted to not send the game anymore, why did he end up sending it to us? Also, if you were noticing that dripping noise, it seems to be coming from one of the upper areas here. Also see some light flickering. But I don't know, we haven't got any indication that Odaka was an artist, though. Clearly I wouldn't call this art. Along with that drawing on the wall down there, we do find what it could be a very crude drawing of a lighthouse. It seems to be shining directly on Odaka?